All right, we are back. I'm joined here with special guest. This is Hunter. Good to have him. So, you want to get us started and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Hunter Bailey. I am the student director at Creekside Church in Tampa. Doing student ministry for a little over 6 years now and loving every moment of it. I want to be a youth pastor until the day that I die. So I have no intentions of doing anything else. It's a little bit about me. I have a wife. Her name is Taylor. We're expecting a baby in January. Um, a little bit about me right now.
Yeah, I know that's super exciting. I know you're gonna make an awesome dad. So, and you get to find out the gender very soon. So it's gonna be exciting as well.
Yes, I do.
All right, so your upbringing. Why don't you get us a little bit about who Hunter is? Maybe your walk to becoming a Christian. A little bit of your testimony.
Sure. So I grew up in a home that acknowledged that God existed, that Jesus was real. But my parents didn't exactly have a Christian walk until I was probably like 7 or 8. So I was always in church, but I didn't really understand Christianity until I was getting more into my teenage years as my parents were growing a little bit. That's when they really started to disciple. And it was around those teenage years that um, my family sold everything that they had. We had a huge life change and decided to sell everything that we have and go and be homeless and do missions across the United States. We traveled into around in a minivan, doing missions across the United States, mostly along the East Coast. Um, so that was around sixth grade, seventh grade, and then I went into high school, knowing who Jesus was, following him. I was always kind of just the good kid. That was kind of my reputation, was the good kid in school. Never really did anything wrong, and I was also never really invited to go do things that were wrong because everybody knew that I wasn't going to go. But I never really had like a repentant part of me until my junior year of high school when I went to camp. Part of the reason why I'm in student ministry is because student ministry is what changed my life. Um, I just realized that as as the Lord works in my life, I can do the same thing, being just a part of the way that the Lord works in other students' lives. And I just learned that that's just a part of what I can do, and I just want to be faithful and obedient in that. So it was around my junior year of high school that I would say I really had a grasp on sin and the weight of what Jesus actually did for me. Um, and then from then on, it was just sky high sanctification. So just continue to get better and better as I focus more and more on Jesus. So that's a little bit of my walk right now and how I came to it. That's like the the 5 minute version of a 4 hour story. But
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really cool testimony. And I know I got caught up into thinking that my testimony isn't really that important because I kind of grew up the good kid, but all those testimonies are so important and just seeing the way God worked in your life. So from that point, you're now a Christian, right? You're being sanctified. At what point did you start kind of feeling the tug on your heart for a ministry? Like when did you start realizing that was going to be your journey?
yeah, like I was saying, it was around that junior year of high school. But it all started because I was sitting there at camp and I was actually having a conversation with one of my friends who was struggling. And I just got done having the conversation with him. I was able to help him to kind of um, see what's going on because I just had my moment too. Like I just remember I was literally 20 minutes off of like my repentance moment, and my friend came to me and he was like, "I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Well, this is what I just did."
Yeah.
And so literally 20 minutes into my own repentance, I'm doing ministry, and I look over at my youth pastor who's having another conversation, and I remember thinking, man, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. I want to be here forever. Then I look at my youth pastor and I was thinking, what am I? I don't have to miss this. I can do this for the rest of my life. So it was that moment, literally within an hour of my first repentance moment, that I had recognized that God was calling me into a life of ministry, um, specifically student ministry. That's what I have a massive passion for.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
so that was the jump start of it. Then I went to college and did the whole thing. So
Yeah, so you went to a Bible college. Tell us It's a little bit about that time.
Yeah. So after high school, I went over to Trinity College of Florida, which is in the Tampa Bay area. And I did all 4 years there. I graduated with a bachelor's in student ministry and a bachelor's in Bible and theology. Um, did I love the experience? Yes. Did I learn a lot? Did I grow in my walk? Absolutely. So I mean, I recommend going to Bible college. There's really only a couple of degrees that I actually would recommend somebody going to college for, like your nursing, your lawyers, your doctors, um, your engineers, and then I actually think that ministry is one of those that actually you gain a lot of benefit from it. But so I highly recommended it. I loved the school that I went to. It was nice and small. I didn't really feel like I wanted to go to a big school. I didn't want to get lost. I just wanted to be able to. The nice thing about Trinity is I got to be able to have conversations um, with my professors. I would sit with them during lunch. I would get to know them on a personal level. They were more than just a professor to me, which was something that I really appreciated about the college that I went to.
Yeah, that's really cool. So now you have gone to school. You've really had your life transformed by the power of the gospel. What was the steps coming kind of out of that school? Like you're out of school now. What has been the process recently?
Yeah, well, I graduated from college almost 2 years ago now. And my mindset has just been do as much ministry as I can, and do everything that I can with ministry in mind. So I have several side hustles that I do. I go to the gym. I do all kinds of different stuff with my free time, but all of it is with ministry on the forefront. I want to do everything that I possibly can to pursue the gospel and to bring God's kingdom onto earth. And I try to do that in everything that I do. Obviously, I'm not that good at it because I'm just a human, and that's not an excuse, but really it's a challenge for me to be able to continue to get better and better. But I mean, there's the obvious things like I want to pursue ministry full time and do it more and more, which I'm doing. But there's also those unique challenges of when you're in ministry and then you still have um, the weight of the same exact things you've been struggling with for years. Those are the types of things that can be pretty difficult to wrestle with when you have a Bible degree and you're trying to do ministry full time. It's the mundane stuff like why do I keep doing that? That's some of the big stuff that I'm working through right now. Is like um, how do we really lean on the Lord as much as possible? I know that forgiveness has always been there and that grace is abundant, but you often can sympathize with Paul when he writes in Romans 7, I do the things I don't want to do, and I don't do the things I should do.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I have been wrestling with for years, and I continue to wrestle with it. But it's just one of those things for me, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you have all these other areas. It's not just youth group necessarily, right? You're pouring into other people, other places, and you're just being an evangelist, which is an amazing opportunity. What's something you've learned from the evangelism aspect? Like, what are some tricks you've picked up along the way?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's just doing it. Like
Hmm.
um, I try to live a life of evangelism, and there's not too many scenes where I get to do that in. So I try to take advantage of the ones that I have. For me, the gym is a big one. Some of the things that I've intentionally done to facilitate those types of things is I'll go up to people in the gym that I don't know, and I'll just introduce myself to them, offer to give them a spot, whatever, and then I can spark relationship with that. I've ended up having 4 or 5 gospel conversations with guys that I just walked up and said, "Hey, my name's Hunter." So there's moments like that. Then you have moments like intentionally going in, like there's a sauna at my gym. I will intentionally go and sit in the sauna because where else do you get to sit with a group of guys for 20 minutes and they have your attention and you have theirs? I have led several people to the Lord and gotten several people to come to my church since I started doing that habit. And along that line, I also have decided to do like a 20-minute quiet time in the sauna. So I'll bring my Bible into the sauna and I'll read it, and then when I'm done, I'll wait there for another 5 minutes to see if somebody wants to have a conversation. And it's been fruitful to see after I'm done reading my Bible in the sauna, somebody will say, what is that book, or what are you reading? And then it just sparks conversations. So just being intentional and thinking about ways that you can actually be an evangelist are some of the ways that in just the mundane life that you can actually do it.
Yeah, for sure. This is a little more of a interesting question, but how do you think? What are some things you can apply from ministry into being a father?
Mm. Well, I think that um, some of the biggest things that I have been preparing for is just continually keeping myself in a mentality of servanthood. Um, as if there's one thing that I've learned about leadership, especially when I look at Jesus and the way that he led, it's that a leader serves. And when it comes to my family and the fatherhood that I'm about to walk into, I just want to be a servant to my wife and to my child, and I don't ever want to stop having a servanthood mentality, even though it can be really hard when you've been working all day and now there's a sink full of dishes or whatever it is. Just developing servanthood and continuing to keep that on the forefront is definitely one of the things that I've been thinking about the most right now.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I think it was Chuck Smith who said it like it's not just about serving, it's also about the way you serve, right? You have to be willing to serve with a good heart and know that you're serving God. And most people think of pastors or people in ministry as people who don't serve. They're the ones who, you serve because they're
Hmm.
higher than you, when in all honesty, the call of a pastor is to serve. And a
Yeah,
lot of people forget that part.
yeah.
So you're in youth ministry. What has been your favorite part about all that?
Oh man, it's just those kids. They're so fun. um, Walking away, going on trips and just hanging out with them and seeing them come out of their shell for who they are. It's one of the most fulfilling things in student ministry. These kids that you've been praying for and preaching to, and in your small groups, and just trying to bring to the Lord. You go on a trip with them, or you go do something fun with them. And I mean, that's the purpose of fun in student ministry, is to just let them let loose a little bit, so that way they want to connect with you a little more. But there's nothing like going on an overnight trip and seeing them come back a whole nother person.
Yeah, and seeing the just salvation experiences, I'm sure is really cool. What has been one of the best lessons you've learned through this whole walk of being a youth pastor?
Mm. I would definitely say that the biggest thing that I have picked up on, especially recently, is that you're only as good as the team that you have around you. And if you don't have a team around you, like, because ministry is not meant to be done by yourself. In fact, I think it's unhealthy to do it by yourself. Um, and when you have a team that's around you that you know you can trust and that you know is going to have your back, and they know that you're going to have their back, no matter what comes around, no matter how hard things are, um, and just being able to work with a team has been something that has kind of changed my ministry in recent years.
Yeah, that's really good. It's a lot of pressure for one person. It's not,
Yeah.
it's like Moses and Jethro.
And it's also not something that I believe that, I mean, Jesus didn't even do ministry by himself. He didn't do ministry by himself. And when he set up the church, he didn't set up a singular pastor. When he set up the church, he didn't set it up in a way that somebody else like him was going to come back and run it. He showed them what to do, and he led with them, served with them, and then he released it to all of them. And there was 12. So um, I think that Jesus has definitely modeled for us that it's meant to be done as a team. It's not meant to be done um, by yourself. Not only because it's difficult, but because you're also just not the most. You're not the best minister in the world. It's the truth. Is I've learned that I kind of suck at my job, but the team that I have around me makes me better. So because they're around me, my job becomes easier. My job becomes a little more fun, and I am actually able to do better ministry because of the people around me.
Yeah, for sure. What was that hardest transition of coming from I'm in college to I am full-time ministry? What was the hardest thing in the transition
It
period?
actually, it actually wasn't really that hard. I actually really enjoyed that transition because I went from being really, really, really busy to just mostly busy. So when I was in college, I put way too many things on my plate. And I decided that when I was coming into ministry that I was going to keep my plate open for my family. I've learned to take on a little bit less and to have no be an easier answer for me than it has been in the past. So when I was in college, I was the student government president. I was the worship team leader. I was married in college while a full time worker and a full time student. Um, and then trying to balance a spiritual life and a social life on top of all of that was extremely difficult. So I really made a point that when I switched into full time ministry, that I was going to be um, focused more on just doing it the right way instead of doing it as much as I can. So
Yeah, that's really
I
good.
actually really enjoyed the transition because I took some things off my plate.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know with so much going on in life, you just get overwhelmed and stressed. So having that little bit of a knowing you're full time, I think that's something I'm looking forward to moving to Dominican. Is I'll be full time ministry, so I can pour so much more into it instead of having to work a 30-hour a week job on top of everything else. So that's definitely going to be something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Uh, one last base question is, what do you think God has shown you about Himself through the process of ministry, just throughout your whole life? What's one of the coolest things God has revealed to you?
Yeah. Every day that I'm in ministry, I just see His grace more and more. I see it in my life and I see it in other lives. Um, you can't really you can't really put an end to it. Every time you think that it just is done, you see more. Um, and that's been one of the most encouraging things for me to see in ministry about God is that His mercy is just endless and it never stops. And it always impresses me how merciful and how gracious God is.
Yeah, that's really good. So my last question, just to end this, is there some ways that we could be praying for you, just as your future ministry and just currently what you're going through? Is there anything that you really would like some prayer in?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the biggest thing that's on my brain is that I've got a baby coming. Don't know the gender yet, but I'm super excited. And just prayer that the Lord would continue to mold me into a father that He sees as good. I don't want to be a father that um, I don't want to be a father that is a poor example. I don't want to be a father um, that puts ministry above his family. So that's one thing that I'm trying to make sure that I'm setting myself up for really well, but also going to continue to maintain. So that's going to be a lifelong prayer for me, but also just I'm starting that process really now. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll be praying for that, and we thank you for taking this time. It was really it's really a blessing to have men like you in my life. I know how much of an impact you've made in mine, and I'm super thankful for you and your ministry. It's growing fast, and God's using you in it, and it's a blessing to see that. And I pray that that would continue, and that
mm,
God would give you the strength to continue it. So
yeah,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for if you made it to the end of this video. Hope you guys learned some cool information from Hunter, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. If you really have any other questions you would have liked me to ask or would like to ask, make sure you comment below. If you have any suggestions or if you like this series, want us to keep doing it, make sure you let me know. Appreciate any of the feedback. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.